Hello, everybody. Welcome to Towns of 505. Welcome to the channel if you're new, or welcome back if you are a lovely subscriber. Today, me, Scott, and Jacob will be continuing our journey through the Rolling Stones. And today, we're going to be talking about another late 80s album, Dirty Work by the Rolling Stones. Oh, I think I might have another on YouTube. But how are you guys doing today?
Doing
Wow,
good.
doing pretty good. I'm so excited to hear the Stones cover Steely Dan. I don't want to do your nutty work, nutty work.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can imagine Mick Jagger singing that though, but I can imagine they're doing it more like a soul style, like I'm a fool to do your dirty work. Oh yeah, that'd have been a lot better than the dirty work song we got here.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we'll be talking about their 80s classic. Caleb, long
It's
time
Bill
no
Murray.
It's been a long time since I've seen you, Caleb. Glad to see you on here. But yeah, you a fan of any of the songs on this album, Caleb? Dirty Work? Any of the songs on here? There is one pretty big song on here, One Hit to the Body. Not sure if you knew that one or not.
I think it's funny that the big hit on this album is called One Hit, parenthesis to the body. It's the one hit.
Much. Yeah, I think that pretty fitting. But what are your guys' brief thoughts on Dirty Work before we start reviewing?
Yeah, so the 80s was a rough time for the Rolling Stones, especially the mid 80s, because there was clear, obvious tension between Mick Jagger and Keith Richards that really fractured the band and the quality of the albums. I thought Undercover was a terrible album. It had like an occasional moment, like the title track, but that album was the most phoned in Stones album I'd ever heard, and it was not a pleasant listen to. Dirty Work, some people have said, is a worse album than Undercover, and I was really dreading that one, especially considering how cringe the album artwork is. It's better than the Undercover album artwork, but I don't know why they decided to put the band in brightly colored suits like it was an MTV video. Like, that's very cringe. But the album itself, I got some good news and I got some bad news. The good news is I think this album is better than Undercover. The bad news is I still think the album sucks. Like, again, it's got some good moments, but most of these songs feel phoned in and trend chasey, and it doesn't really feel like any of the members of the band put any heart and soul into this album like on their classic run.
I'll say this: it's a lot better than Undercover. Undercover, I didn't like. This album has a lot. I feel like it's a lot better of an album. Still not fantastic, but whenever you had such a low as Undercover, pretty much anything could be better than that, other than Emotional Rescue. That album sucked. But I like quite a few of the songs on this album. I wouldn't call this like a Rolling Stones classic album, but for what it is, I actually kind of enjoyed this album to a degree.
So for me, I think I have enough songs to make a top 5, so I'd say that's a pretty good sign, at least. But I'd say as a whole, definitely lacking compared to their other albums that we've heard. It's like the good songs are good, but then the songs that I'm not crazy about, like they're just like I'll say this right now, I don't think there's a bad song on here, but there's just too much unmemorable stuff, which to me, I think I'm starting to agree with Scott. I think it's worse than having a bad song because at least with the bad song, like at least it's memorable enough for me to remember. But like when it's like so like bland that I don't remember it, that's to me when I'm like, I don't know, guys. I don't remember a thing that we're singing about. But again, there's some stuff. Even like a couple of songs I like, I'm like, how does that go again? Like they're like before they make me run quality songs. Like good, but not enough for me to remember it, kind of thing. But that's just my opinion. If you're a Rolling Stone fan out there who is a huge fan of this album, congrats. You're a big fan of their later stuff. I'm assuming you either grew up around this time or you bought the album when it's new. But anyway, enough of my banter. First song on the album, One Hit to the Body.
All right, so this was a song that Nick introduced me to before listening to this album. I'd never heard this one before, and I think I'm going to spill the obvious. This is easily the best song on the album. I will say this is a legit, really good Rolling Stones song, which for this album, that's rare. The crazy thing is, like, the production on this album is so good. It sounds like something that other bands of the time could have done. Like, I could see Bon Jovi doing this song, and it would have been a big hit for them, or Bryan Adams would be another one. So the fact that the Rolling Stones was doing something with this style of production, yeah, it may be a trend-chasing thing, but it's cool that they still played around with what other artists were doing musically at the time and still be able to craft a good song. I think this easily has the best chorus out of this entire album. Like the chorus is an instant earworm. Want it to the body, want it for the heart. I'm surprised this wasn't in any of the Rocky movies, to be honest. Especially when you watch that music video where it looks like Mick Jagger and Keith Richards are going at it. I wonder if it's like a wink to like the tensions the two members had at the time. But yeah, the guitar really rocks. It's got a good groove to it. I would say this is an underrated Stone song. Apparently, this was a hit single. I'd never heard it on the radio or I never even heard it before until going through their discography. But yeah, it's a pretty good song.
I talked earlier in my brief introduction about how it felt like the Rolling Stones were kind of chasing trends. This song is an example of them doing that heavy 80s style production, but it actually works. I mean, there's lots of synthesizers. I don't think that's Charlie Watts doing the drums. I think that's a drum machine. It's what it sounds like. It's got all of the 80s production, the big over-the-top extraness, but it works here. I think for this song, it works in its favor. This has all of the charm that 80s pop songs at the time had. And plus, you get a really cool guitar solo from a guest. Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin played the guitar solo on this song. So I thought that was really cool. That's why I have my secondary tag as Rolling Zeppelins, because it's a Rolling Stones Led Zeppelin collaboration. But I definitely enjoyed this song. This is most definitely the best song on the album. I don't think I would put it up with like my absolute favorite Rolling Stones songs, but for this album, it's really good. And pretty obviously, they released this as the single. That's kind of a no-brainer that they picked this one as the single, because it's definitely the best song here.
Yeah, I enjoyed this song. I think definitely the biggest highlight on the album. I'm definitely not going to be the oddball out here. I agree with you guys. This is by far the best song on the album. And yeah, I'm going to kind of copy off Scott. I definitely do hear them chasing trends here, but it does work. Like this, I wouldn't say this was worth making a whole album out of stuff like this, but definitely like you can hear them how they were back in the 80s. But that's my biggest problem though with them in the 80s, is that they're trying too hard to be like they're trying too hard. That's the problem. They're trying too hard to be relevant, and it just ends up making them sound worse in the end, which we'll go over how that's going to happen when we get there. But overall, I do think this is a great song, but like Scott, this isn't like one of those songs where I'm like, man, you have to listen to this. This is like a Stones classic. Like, I could see why this was a hit back in the day, but I could see why it was kind of forgotten about after its time. Like, you know, I could see why this didn't survive past the 80s. But yeah.
When I want to listen to a Rolling Stones song, it's like Paint It Black, Satisfaction, Miss You. Not One Hit to the Body. That's not the first one I'm going for. You know, you can't always get what you want. Give Me Shelter.
Yeah,
Cumberland Dice, but not this one.
But yeah, for sure, and you could see why this wasn't on any of their like compilations or anything like that. But next song on the album, Fight.
This song was meh. I like the guitar work. That's like a compliment I'll give on like a majority of the songs on the album. Like the guitar work is pretty good, but I feel like I've heard this style of Rolling Stones song like 10 times in the 80s, especially on the last album, Undercover, and it did nothing for me. Like I thought this was a very uninspiring, generic. This was like one of those songs where it's like if ChatGPT was a thing in 1986, and you told ChatGPT, "Hey, create a Rolling Stones song. This is what you're gonna get."
And it was Trained on Undercover.
Yes, that one. Trained on Undercover. That's a good way to word it. This weird era that the Rolling Stones are in, not the classic era from like the Beggar's Banquet all the way to Tattoo You, but this era. Yeah, I didn't care for this one. It just came in one ear and out the other. And the way Mick Jagger started singing Fight in the chorus just got really old after a while.
So, One Hit to the Body was an example of them chasing trends and doing it successfully. This song is a fine example of how the Rolling Stones are chasing trends, and it doesn't work out well. It's a little more akin to their quote-unquote classic sound, and I use that very sparingly because this still sounds very far from the days of Satisfaction or Street Fighting Man, Jumpin' Jack Flash, or something like that. But at least this one is a little more rock-centric and isn't chasing trends as much, but the production style on this song does not work. It's very boring and very unmemorable, and like Jacob said, I feel like I've heard this song 10 times already on the last album. All 10 songs on the last album sounded exactly like this. It was very hard to distinguish it from something on Undercover. And again, we have another song, the second song in a row about fighting. So lyrically, nothing really to distinguish it from the first song. The first song was so much more memorable. This one is just like, oh yeah, here's another song about fighting with a similar production. I've already forgotten about it.
You're on mute.
I actually like this song. I thought this was a pretty good song. Again, this is good for dirty work. This isn't like classic Stones that you think of. I thought this was a pretty good song. I like this song. It's has some great rockness to it. I enjoyed it. Is it one of my favorite Stone songs? No, but is it good for the album? Yeah, I enjoyed it. Now here's a song that I do think is going to be a little divisive. I know between at least me and one other person. That's going to be Harlem Shuffle.
So before listening to this album, this was the only song that I knew going in. I think this was a hit single as well for the Stones. The funny thing, this was a cover song. I don't forget who originally sang it. I can look it up real fast. It was originally sung by a duo by Bob and Earl, released in 1963. It's like an R&B soul type song. And how I first heard that song, the original, was it was in the soundtrack to the movie Baby Driver, played during the opening credits. Really brilliant way to open the movie, especially introducing the main character. Uh, Definitely check out that movie if you haven't already. So I heard the Stones version after the fact. I think I heard it. I used to have Sirius XM at one point, and they would occasionally play this on like the '80s channel when I used to have that. And I like the song itself, especially if you listen to the original. The original has a lot of cool soul to it, and I like the harmonies on it. This is just okay. I don't have a problem with the Stones covering it, but I wish they did it in a different era. Like if they had done this like in the late '60s or throughout the '70s, like they can cover R&B soul songs in the past. Like I love their cover of "Ain't Too Proud to Beg" on the Only Rock and Roll album, but this just felt like we're just gonna do the most '80s-ified version of a great soul song and just suck the soul right out of it. Like I don't like Mick Jagger sings fine on it. It's got a decent groove to it, but the strange thing is if you look at my ranking, this song is still in my top 5. Like I think it's an okay song, and considering we're talking about "Dirty Work" the album, that says something. A song that I have a lot of issues with is still in my top 5. Like I like it, but there's a better version of it out there that I think is worth listening to over this.
I'm gonna be different on this one. I actually really liked this. I thought it was cool. Maybe it's because I haven't heard the original. Maybe when I hear the original, I'll be like, oh, no, that Stones version was a complete butchering of this song. But for now, I thought this was a good song, well, in Dirty Work standards. I enjoyed the backing vocals. I thought that was a nice touch. Kind of gave it even more of a soulful flavor. I enjoyed the horn section on it as well. Yes, it kind of is odd with the soul elements clashing with the '80s production. That's odd, but it also kind of works. I don't know how that works. That it's like, oh, that's jarring, but it also works. But I don't know. That's just how it is. But I actually really enjoyed this one.
Well, I'm with you, Scott. I love this version. This is my second favorite song on the album. I mean, I've heard the original. I thought the original's good. I actually really like this version. It's like a nice, fresh '80s version of it. Again, not a Stone song that I would go back to, but I'd say this song and One Hit to the Body are two songs. If I were to recommend songs from this album, it would definitely be these two songs. I really like the fresh spin on it. It's fun. I really like it. I agree with Scott. Definitely one of my favorites. Well, we go to the next song, Hold Back.
All right. Is it me or am I holding back to the same generic Stone song that we heard 2 songs ago? Like this and Fight are so samey that I can't really tell the 2 songs apart. I didn't care for this song either. I feel like I'm a broken record, much like with the Undercover album. Let's move on to the next one.
We are drifting back into Before They Make Me Run territory. I do not remember how this song goes, and I listened to it probably about 20 minutes ago, so that should show you how interesting this song is. I do remember that it sounded very similar to Fight, just like Jacob said. It's that same copy-paste generic 80s Stone song. Next.
Well, I'm in the same boat as you guys. Uninteresting, very generic. Nothing much to say about. This is one of the many songs on this album that I'm going to be saying that about. Next song on the album is going to be a Keith Richard sung song. That is going to be Too Rude.
Yeah. I'm curious what we're all going to think about this one because not only is it Keith Richards leading it, but they go back into a reggae style, and that's been a divisive topic in the past. Can the Rolling Stones do reggae? I remember when we reviewed back Black and Blue, uh, I was like the only person in the chat that really dug the Cheerio Baby, and I still stand by that. That song was an earworm, even with all the Oreos in it. Too Rude. How do they do 80s reggae? I'm not gonna lie, I actually had fun with this. It sounds nothing like a Rolling Stone song. It honestly feels like, the strange thing is, this feels like the Rolling Stones trying to cover UB40. And you know how I feel about UB40? Garbage band. I don't think I like any UB40 cover. Yet this feels like a better version of UB40 because you got Keith Richards singing it, who is a much better vocalist than anything on that UB40 guy butchering Red Red Wine. I was kind of vibing to this song. It's one of the catchier songs on this album. I can't say it's a top tier song, but I had fun with this. If I had to give the term guilty pleasure to a song on this album, it would be Too Rude. I had fun with this.
So I notoriously hated the Cheerio Baby song on Black and Blue and said that the Rolling Stones should never do reggae. I'm about to eat my words. I actually really liked this song. Surprised, are you? I was surprised as well.
I thought you were going to hate this, to be honest.
And as soon as the reggae beat started, I was like, oh, crap, they're doing reggae again, and now it's in the 80s. But then Keith Richards started singing, and I'm like, wow, Keith Richards' voice works a lot better for reggae than Mick Jagger's does. And I love the vocal effect that he has. It's like got this really huge like echo and a lot of reverb on it, which makes it really kind of spacey. And the whole time it's just like almost like you're vibing out. Just like Jacob, I kind of was getting UB40 vibes from this as well, even though I absolutely hate their cover of Red Red Wine. I thought that was the original for years till Nick showed me Neil Diamond and was like, what? There's a Goods version of this song? But it's like that, but better. I like this song a lot better than that. This was very catchy. It's in my top 5.
All right. My opinion. So, if you've been listening to our channel, you've been following our Rolling Stone videos, I've been very hit or miss with their reggae stuff. On It's Only Rock and It's Only Rock and Roll. I really, really liked Luxury. On Black and Blue, I really hated the Oreo of Cheerio Baby. I really, really hated Feel on Baby on Undercover.
Oh,
So,
I forgot about that song.
I did too. That one sucked.
Thank you for reminding me of that atrocity of a song.
Yeah, I really didn't like those two. This one, on the other hand, I love this song. So now, Rolling Stones, you are now 2 for 2 on the reggae stuff. So, yeah, I really, really, I had a blast listening to this. Ever since I've heard this album, I've always really enjoyed this song. And yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites on the album. I love Too Rude. So, yeah, Rolling Stones, you're 2 for 2 for me. All right, now we follow that up with Winning Ugly.
All right. So the bass line of this song starts.
I went down to the roadhouse and grabbed myself a beer.
So that started popping up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this is going to be an awesome Rolling Stones song. And then Mick Jagger starts singing, and it's like, I can't believe the song I just listened to. This is one of the worst songs on the whole album, in my opinion. I can't believe you have a song where you have I think some of the best production on it. I even didn't mind the synthesizers on this. I was kind of having fun with this. But then the way Mick Jagger sings a song, who just sounds so disinterested on this whole song, with probably one of the worst choruses they've ever done, like Winning Ugly. Like, how is that an appealing song? Winning Ugly? Are you really trying to distance yourself from your fans with a title like that? Like, what are you doing? Like, man, Mick Jagger really must have hated Keith Richards if he put a song called Winning Ugly on the album. I'm going to kick your butt. I'm going to be winning ugly. I'm like, no, this is a stupid song. I thought it was one of the worst tracks on the album and a total embarrassment, aside from that awesome bass line and some cool stiffs.
Is it strange that I actually kind of liked this one? Like,
Oh, wow.
kind of. It's definitely not as good as like Harlem Shuffle, One Hit to the Body, or even Too Rude. But this is not the worst song on the album. It's actually kind of memorable, which is sad, showing how good this album is. If you're saying that the best stuff on the album it was kind of memorable. It's not my favorite, and it's not my least favorite.
Okay, so Winning Ugly. I really love this song. This is another song that I really enjoy. So I'd say now, One Hit to the Body, Harlem Shuffle, Too Rude, and Winning Ugly. I'd say 4 songs that I actually quite enjoy. And yeah, this is another song that I can't help but enjoy. For me, I enjoy this song. Oh, sorry. I was looking at the songs that. By the way, that was the opening of side 2. By the way, forgot to mention we flipped the records over.
Or the cassette tape.
Yep. So we get to the next song, Back to Zero.
This is the worst song on the whole album. This is the one that felt like they were chasing the most trends and they had no clue how to make very over the top 80s rock song. This was painful to sit through. The guitars were dreadful in this song. The way Mick Jagger sings is some of his most obnoxious vocals. Back to zero! Back to zero! I was just so annoyed by this song. I wouldn't say it's the worst of the worst Rolling Stone songs, but for this album and considering it's not really that good, this gets the golden stinker for the most obnoxious song on the whole album. I'll still take it over Too Much Blood from the last album, though. That one was even worse.
You know, interesting you say that. I thought this was one of the more memorable songs on the album.
Oh, wow.
Maybe it's because of the obnoxious production, but I was actually kind of rocking out to this one. Like, I wasn't listening like, man, I didn't know this was going to be that good, but it was just kind of like, oh, here we go. This is a song that I'm actually going to remember. It's all right, but still nothing fantastic here.
All right, for me, how you doing, Tyler? I know you're a pretty big Rolling Stone fan. I
think Rolling Stones is his favorite band now.
Awesome, that's good to hear. Tyler, what's your thoughts on this album? I forgot your opinions on this album. Please drop it down in the comments.
I think he likes this album, but we need to know.
I completely forgot his opinion on this album. Definitely drop your opinion on it. Hopefully I didn't. Oh yeah, you just commented. But yeah, definitely drop your opinion on the album. As for me, Back to Zero, it's okay. Like, I'm kind of like beneath Scott. Like I don't like it as much as he does, but I don't hate it as much as Jacob does. I'm in the middle of the pack when it comes to this song, but I think I think it's okay. I don't think it's terrible, but I don't think it's great either. Well, speaking of Dirty Work, we're going to be talking about the title track, Dirty Work. And no, it's not a cover of the Steely Dan song.
Oh.
I do like it. Haven't spun it in a while. I like Undercover and Steel Wheels more. Well, you'll be
I can
happy.
agree with you on Steel Wheels.
I'll say
Undercover
you'll
now.
be happy to know me and Jacob will agree with you on Steel Wheels. Well, Scott hasn't listened to
I
it
still
yet.
haven't heard Steel Wheels. I'm gonna listen to that one next, but
Yes. Definitely
slowly
check it
going through the 80s albums.
Yep. But Jacob, what's your opinion on Dirty Work?
Part of me kind of wish this was a cover of the Steely Dan song because I can picture Mick Jagger singing the vocals and doing a more soulful spin on it. But no, this is a Jagger Richards original with assistance from Ronnie Wood. I think the song's fine. I think it's one of the better songs on the album. It's a little bit more of a faster tempo than some of the other songs on the album, which makes it stand out from your fights and hold back. I do like the way Mick Jagger sings the chorus. I almost said it's kind of a punk vibe to it, which I'm not a real big punk fan, but I still kind of like the vibe of this song nonetheless, especially when you got Mick Jagger singing and the guitar work going together. Again, like a lot of the songs on this album, I can't say this is well, at least the ones I like, I can't say this is a top tier song, especially when you got so many good albums from them in the past and iconic songs. But I like this one fine. It's one of the ones that made my top 5.
We're rolling back into copy paste territory with the Rolling Stones. This feels like another uninspired song that they put on here just to fill space on the disc. They can market it with your Harlem Shuffles and your One Hit to the Bodies, and then you got a bunch of songs on here like this that nobody's gonna remember, even though it's the title of the album. I don't remember anything about this song other than I hated listening to it. This is gonna be a no for me.
Well, read Tyler's comment. One Hit to the Body, Shuffle, Too Rude, Dirty Work, Fight, and Sleep Tonight are all great. Well, I will agree with you on most of those. Well, I'm not going to talk about Sleep Tonight yet because we haven't reached that one yet. But
I think that's the one song we all agree on is One Hit to the Body. Like that's like the one that
Yeah.
they've had the consensus that it's a good song.
That's like the obvious choice for the single though.
yeah, because it's what made them great, but with a little bit of 80s. But
Yeah.
anyways, my opinion on this song, I think it's okay. I think it's an okay song. Again, like I said, I don't hate any of these songs. There's not a bad song on here. I just don't think there's anything like there's just too much songs on this album where I'm just like, it's okay. And like I said, I do think mediocre, forgettable songs are worse than just flat out bad songs. At least bad songs, you just laugh at it. But yeah, I don't know how to feel about this song. I don't know. It's okay. I'm glad you liked it, Tyler, but I think it's an okay song. But we move on to Had It With You.
And now we're back to very forgettable, uninspiring Stones. Like this is in my bottom 3. I think this is worse than Fight and Hold Back. Because the one thing I remember out of this song is Mick Jagger's obnoxious vocal. Like, oh, I had it with you. I had it with you. Like, oh, no. Like, Mick Jagger, you're a good vocalist. You've done some great stuff over the years, but are you just intentionally singing obnoxiously just to spite the rest of the band? Are you intentionally sabotaging this album? I'm starting to think you are between this and Back to Zero and Hold Back and Winning Ugly. Like these are not well crafted songs at all. Like a lot of these say Mick Jagger and Keith Richard wrote these songs. I don't even think they were in the same room. It's like, I guess I'll write this part, and then I'll write this other part and scream very obnoxiously just despite the rest of the band. I mean, Keith Richards is probably like, okay, I'll just focus on the guitar work. This is clearly not working out.
It's like Rumors, but if it was crap.
Yeah, this is not a good song. I'm done.
Yeah, here we are again with the same kind of sound and the same uninspired Rolling Stones 80s-ness. I do love the 80s. There are lots of great, more like original stuff going on in the 80s, especially 1986 when this album came out. You got Slippery When Wet by Bon Jovi. You got Invisible Touch by Genesis. You got So by Peter Gabriel. Those albums are all fantastic. This album right here, no. This song on this album, no. It's forgettable. It's Before They Make Me Run. We're going to go to the next one.
Mm-hmm. Well, before that, I will read Tyler's comment. It's a Stones album done by Keith and Ronnie. Mick sings, but was too busy making Primitive cool. I think it's better than Dirty Work. Well, for me personally, I do personally think this is my least favorite song on the album. Personally, I definitely think it's the weakest of the bunch, but it's not like, again, it's not terrible, but it's definitely my least favorite on the album. It's there. It exists. Well, anyways, the next track on the album, I will clamp it into two: Sleep Tonight and Key to the Highway piano instrumental. What are our thoughts on the last track?
All right. So I've not been the biggest fan of this album, but one thing I will say, and this is the most amazing thing about this album and the last album, Undercover, the bookends on these last two albums have been really, really good. Undercover, you had Undercover the Night and It Must Be Hell, which were two of the best songs on that album, an otherwise bad album. And this album, you got Want It to the Body and Sleep Tonight, which I'll say is another really good song on this album and a really good album closer. Keith Richards sings this one. He has some really soulful vocals on here. It's almost a piano ballad with a little bit of that 80s charm. And I actually really like that. There's really good backing vocals on here. I thought this was almost a hidden gem from the Stones during this not so good era of the band. And then the Key to the Highway hidden track, I think is really cool. This is actually the last thing Ian Stewart did in the band. I read he passed away, I think either before or after the release of this album. So it's kind of like a cool little send off for him, and because he did a lot of cool piano work from the beginning up to this point. So it's cool that they gave him a good little send off on this album, considering this was during a dark phase in the band's history. So I guess I like that. It's not one I'll go back to on its own, but I'm glad it's still on the album. But yeah, Sleep Tonight. Really good album closer in an otherwise sucky album.
Well, I was kind of just okay on this song. It was one of the more memorable songs, but I don't know if you're going to like what I have to say about it. It felt like a suckier version of a Dire Straits song. When I was listening to it, I was like, oh, if I can totally imagine Mark Knopfler singing this song here on the Brothers in Arms album. But it's not nearly as good as anything on that album. I was just like, this is just straight up a Dire Straits ripoff. And so I was like, it's better than some of the other stuff on this album, but like, were you guys listening to Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits? And we're like, let's write that down. Yeah, I want it to be in my top 5, but when I was listening to it, I just could not get Dire Straits out of my head. And I was like, yeah, no, this does not sound like the Rolling Stones. And then the hidden track, it's kind of like on the Hootie and the Blowfish album, the Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child song. It's just a bonus hidden track. It's not listed on the album. At first I was just like, why did they put that on there? But you saying that it was their tribute to Ian Stewart, because Ian Stewart was kind of the last thing he did in the band, I respect that. I think it's cool that they did that now, because we've always been talking about how much we liked Ian Stewart's piano playing ever since our very first episode. I think Jacob's first name he put as was Jacob Appreciates Ian Stewart. So that was a good send off for him. I was going to say, why did they put this as a hidden track? But when you told me the backstory, I respect that, and I'm glad they put that on there.
Okay. Well, before I continue, Sleep Tonight is awesome. Rest in peace, Ian Stewart. Score either 7 or 8 out of 10. Me personally, I freaking love this song. Again, I love it in the sense that this is a great song for this album. I really, really enjoyed this song. Again, you got quality production for this album. But again, none of these songs are go-to Rolling Stone songs, but for the album, really, really impressed. Like I said, I could name a really nice top 5 for this album. The songs that I like, but man, those forgettable songs they're forgettable. And the instrumental at the end, it's cool bonus track, but nothing really to write home on its own. Kind of like a Her Majesty type thing at the end of Abbey Road. Obviously not as good, but still, I enjoyed this last song. And yes, I agree with Jacob. The bookends for this album are awesome. Okay, Jacob, what is gonna be your top 5?
All right. Considering this isn't my favorite album, I actually do have a top 5. All right. So, no honorable mentions. Number 5, and this is only by default, and that's Harlem Shuffle. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it's okay enough to make my top 5. So I guess I technically just have a top 4. Number 4, Too Rude. Number 3, Dirty Work. Number 2, Sleep Tonight. And the obvious number 1, One Hit to the Body.
Okay, my top 5. Number 5, I have Winning Ugly. Yes, that is in my top 5. Number 4, Back to Zero. Number 3, and these 3 are really the 3 songs I like on this album. Too Rude. Number 2 is Harlem Shuffle. And number 1 is One Hit to the Body.
Okay. Well, for me, my top 5. Number 5, I will go with Winning Ugly. Number 4, Too Rude. Number 3, Harlem Shuffle. Number 2, Sleep Tonight with the little piano ballad at the end. And my favorite song of the album, I will be the norm. I will be the generic. I will be the common ground when it's a body. And what's your guys' score going to be?
All right. So I said at the beginning, I felt like this album was a little better than Undercover. Undercover, I would say, annoyed me more than album. It felt more phoned in. This album was phoned in too, but I think there are slightly better stuff on this album. Like One Hit to the Body and Sleep Tonight are better than anything on the last album. So I think keeping that in mind, considering most of the album I thought was uninspiring, and there were 2 songs I really, really didn't like, and then there was 2 songs I really, really liked. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10.
Oh, wow. I'm not going to go that low. There was some stuff I actually liked on here, and I don't think it was boring enough to give the dreaded 5 out of 10. I almost feel like 5 out of 10 is a worse score than 1 out of 10, because 1 out of 10 you can laugh at how bad it is. This mostly boring, but there was a few standouts, and I think I gave Undercover a 5 out of 10. I'm going to give Dirty Work a 6 out of 10 because I think the highs are a little bit better on here, but still not a great album. I do really like One Hit to the Body and Harlem Shuffle, though. Those
Yeah.
are both really good.
Yeah, for the record, I gave Undercover a 3. So
Ooh. I didn't think it was that bad. I just thought it was mostly unmemorable. And so for an album that's completely unmemorable, that's 5 out of 10. Even though the last album had 2 songs that I liked, I still gave it a 5 out of 10 just because some of the unmemorable stuff was too much. This, a lot was unmemorable, but it had just enough to get it right over a 5 out of 6.
Well, for me, I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. So I'd say the good stuff, pretty good. Like I said, I do like, there are some songs I quite enjoyed while listening to the album. However, it's a big however, my biggest problem with this album is that there's just too much, I wouldn't say filler, but there's just too much songs that are too forgettable and just very mediocre. And to that, it's not something that I'd say these are bad songs, but it's just like songs that I will never go back to. Like they're just so forgettable. But anyways, guys have any final thoughts before we close out?
Let's get to
he's last.
Steel Wheels.
Good.
Let's get to
They've
Steel
got-
Wheels. Let's get to Steel Wheels.
All right. Well, those last few albums from the Stones are rough. It's terrifying in the fact that we got some Steel Wheels coming up, and it's giving me mixed emotions, but in a good way.
Mixed emotions. That's a terrific song. But
I haven't heard it yet. I'll find out.
Can't wait. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Tyler, for dropping in, commenting. And Caleb, thank you for dropping your one comment. To all the people who are watching, have a good night. See ya.